There isn't much to talk about with characters since the series is only 3 volumes long. I do like Picasso a lot, as I think most anyone reading the manga will, at least by association, be able to relate to Picasso being antisocial because, in his mind, it's easier just to be alone instead of open up to the possibility for disappointment and rejection later, which people can understand or empathize even. Picasso is kind of cowardly and only helps people because it keeps him from rotting and because Chiaki won't stop bugging him until he helps someone. He also usually doesn't know what he's doing inside a person's heart and often makes things worse before fixing things. For those reasons I like him, because he feels more realistic than the generic shonen main character. Of course, there is the problem, too, that Picasso is in fact a proxy of the author, since Picasso likes drawing and has an uncanny resemblance to the author. Furuya also admits that he inserted himself as the main character at the end of the series in an afterword. Then he was also a bit eccentric in high school, and that he would often spend his time drawing in the art room and hoped that if he got good at drawing, that he would be able to connect with other people. I don't think this is too big of a problem for me, since the concept of the story is fun and unique. I could see this as a bigger issue in something like Bakuman, where the crux of the plot is seen from a very biased perspective, as that series deals only with the one manga publisher and not really seeing it from the perspective of any other manga publishers. Here, the author insertion helps to make the character more believable and not a means to live out some selfish fantasy or get across some agenda. Chiaki acts mostly as Jiminy Cricket to Picasso's Pinocchio. She doesn't develop much more until the end, where it's revealed what the slip of paper she wrote has on it. The rest of the cast are more just students in the class that are introduced as the problem of the week and then incorporated into a growing cast of supporting characters for Picasso to engage with later. The art in the story is great in my opinion. A lot of time and effort was put into the people's hearts and what the different parts of each of the sketches represent when they dive into it. I also like the different style he draws when they are in the picture, as it looks more sketchy and coarse. I don't know if it was a different pen, but it looks like it was drawn in pencil as opposed to ink like the rest is drawn. My overall opinion is that this series is great if you're looking for something different. It doesn't follow the standard shonen formula, as the main character isn't particularly masculine in most of his features and character traits. There is no rival or antagonist, and there isn't really that much of a developing romance. This series is all about the journey. The ending, which is a great ending that brings everything full circle, does reveal that this series was a coming-of-age story of sorts, so it is following that trope in shonen manga, but that can also be the character growing through his arc in the story. The first volume starts a bit slow, and the adventures there are resolved too quickly for me to enjoy it. This changes, though, in the second and third volumes, where the stories are longer and the stakes are bigger. So if you're on the fence after the first volume, keep with it because it gets better and there's a gratifying ending too. Now, from a purely aesthetic point of view, which I can't usually say too much on that aspect of the manga series, but here there was some clearly deliberate work and effort that was put into the production of even just the minute details of bringing these volumes out into production. Like, first of all, you can notice right away that the cover for Genkaku Picasso has this very unique design for the main title of itself, which is also put on the spine as well, as opposed to other series like, say, Yu Yu Hakusho right here, where the spine is done in a very generic font and style for itself. And even comparing with other features, they don't even use like a standard number for the spine number on it. They did a very unique design to make it look more sketchy for the in following with the theme of the story itself. And even tiny little touches, like you can notice at the top with the Shonen Jump that the Yu Yu Hakusho on the right is slightly different from the Genkaku Picasso on the left, and that it looks like it was scribbled in with an ink pen. So they designed a completely separate logo just for these 3 volumes. And it goes even further than all of that when you look on the back and you see that Picasso is actually sitting there on the barcode label for the volumes themselves, which that means then that they had to physically insert that in there and then publish it as a completely separate kind of barcoding than any of their other series that Viz was putting out. Even more on top of that is also inside of the book you can notice little numberings for the pages and how those are in an odd and funky font themselves. They're not standard numbers. That was a completely redesigned system of numbering that they created just for this one volume. And also other little things too, like the way the spine looks like the rings on a ringed binder, and it's just a really gorgeous looking thing. When you get down to little bits and pieces and little details, like, it rewards you for noticing those things. So I also really appreciate that. That is far and above what I should have expected from this series. And on top of that, in spite of all of those little bells and whistles that they put on it, the volumes are still able to keep a $9.99 price tag, even though all of these volumes clock in at around 290 to 300 pages each. So just by themselves, they're a bargain to buy, even without all the extra bits on it. Overall, I'd say that I really enjoyed getting this, and because of its length, I think that it benefits from it because it kept things from getting too stale, and the ending is just a good ending, and it didn't feel like it was rushed, like, you know, the series got canceled or anything. That he knew ahead of time how the series was going to begin and how it was going to end, and he just needed to figure out how he was going to fill in the middle part. And I really enjoy that when a manga series can feel like that. So I hope you all enjoyed what I was able to draw out for this manga review, and I hope to see you all again for the next one. Alright, have a good read.
What is it?